Heavenly Father, where two or three are gathered in His name, there I am in the midst of them. We have those two or three here. We have people who are dedicated to supporting this great country that we are blessed to live in, the United States of America. We thank you for our special guest tonight, Dr. Wheeler and Bob Ham from Hillsdale College. And also we have Bobby Dr. Walsh in the audience. We thank all these brilliant Americans being here this evening. And we ask you to watch over each and every one of us, our family members who are ill, and for those who were not able to make it this evening due to the weather. We ask you to bless this meeting and help our fellow patriots here in the Lehigh Valley to get out there and vote and understand how important this coming election is. All elections are lawful. Amen.
Amen.
We can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's take a look and see if we can get our audio working here.
Can you see all your wrongs early life? What's so proudly hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose footsteps and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, while the singing air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Lehigh Valley Tea Party. Well, as you know, are there any baseball fans out here? Any baseball fans? Raise your hand if you're a baseball fan. You know what they say about baseball? You win some, you lose some, and some get rained out.
Yep.
And at least 3 people text me that they were on their way and that they hit streets that were flooded and they turned back around. So, thank you for dealing with any traffic issues you might have had, and welcome here. Opening remarks. First of all, notice that Bobby Governor Walsh came in your room, so let's welcome Bobby Governor Walsh to the Lehigh Valley Tea Party. At 790 WED, right here locally, he was kind enough to interview both of our featured speakers this evening. Again, Bob Ham from Hillsdale College and also Dr. Shawnee Wheeler. Those were great interviews. Please, when we send out the text blast, okay, those text blasts you get in the robocalls, and it says refer to the website, it actually tells you, that Bobby's interviewing our guests. And we encourage you not only to listen to our guests coming in, but to listen to him, because he's kind enough to have found us some guests. So you know, a lot of our relationships are reciprocal. We work hand in hand. So we are very fortunate to have someone like him in the Lehigh Valley. So give him another round of applause. All right, quick. November elections, right around the corner. I just can't understand how anyone would not vote. It's just in my genes again. You know, I'll just say it briefly again. My parents come from communist countries. My grandfather from Cuba never missed a vote. I'll never forget going into vote the first time in a place called Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I had the same name as my grandfather, and the lady there said, "Look at how many times your grandfather voted." And they said, "We know the whole story about what happened to him in Cuba." And that set with me real well, that I would never miss a vote. Okay? Then we also have, as many of you know, the Lehigh Valley Tea Party. We're going to officially change our name very shortly to Lehigh Valley MAGA. Just a little update so you understand this. Our official corporate name is 912 Project of the Lehigh Valley. That's our official name, 912 Project of the Lehigh Valley. Doing business as, we still have the title as Lehigh Valley Tea Party, but now we are trying to go a different route with the Lehigh Valley MAGA because, folks, we have been trying for years to attract people of different ethnicities and a younger group. Unfortunately, a lot of people that are not in this group do not know what a Tea Party is. We're going to give it a try. I ask you to be patient, to pray. Again, we have lost a lot of members due to unfortunate fatalities, okay? That's due to different things. In my own group in Bethlehem Township, just recently I lost two of my many people that died from cancer. Okay? And there's other people in the room that have shared their parents' passing, so life is so precious. All right, I'm going to ask Juan Reynosa. He's going to tell you real quick about the update on what we call the One Big Beautiful Bash. So Juan's running up on the stage, just to see he's going through.
God bless everyone. Thank you for helping us and being with us here tonight. What I'm trying to say to you is, with one question, is who has Facebook here? Okay, so we are starting a new thing with our MAGA name, is that we're going to be more active on social media. And I just want to give you a quick summary of what we have and what we have done, is that we are out views over 300% the last month. And let me give you the total of those views that we're getting through our social media account on Facebook alone, and that is over 17,300 views. Meaning that we're getting a lot of eyes on the Lehigh, on this whole region. We're talking about Harvard, we're talking about Bethlehem, Northampton County, Lehigh, all the way down to Hellertown. So we are attacking this whole area with the algorithms. So what we're trying to do with your help, all of you, is if you see that we tag you on social media, especially on Facebook, please hit like. If you see some comment there that they are attacking us because there are a lot of keyboard warriors on the other side, as you know, they attack especially whatever your name is with Trump. Please comment under them and say something nice about our group, because we're going to need your help in regards to that. And one more thing is that we are going to have this One Big Beautiful Bash to start this new process starting on Saturday, September 6th. If you watch it on social media, you see that we are promoting our speakers, we're promoting the bash, we're promoting this event, and we're going to be more active coming soon. We already are on TikTok, on Twitter, we're already on Instagram, we're attacking the new generation, and we're going to have different videos for different types of messages according to who is on the other side of the platform. So please, especially on Facebook, we're going to need your help, and try to hit like, repost, and help us as keyboard warriors to make a good impression to those that are willing to come to these meetings, okay? God bless everyone. Have a nice one.
Thank you, Juan. So Juan is relatively new to the Tea Party as a board member, and that's what you have to do. You have to ask people to join. Okay? So you have to ask people to join. All people can say is no. So we are grateful that Juan is part of our group. A couple quick announcements. Number one, literature. Again, please do not put any literature on the table without seeing me. We have been very successful. Everyone that has approached me, I usually say yes. You know, as long as it's within our mindset, we will allow you to put it out. But we've had people want to promote garage sales and different things like that. That's not what we're about. So thank you for that. Please respect our speakers when they are speaking. Kindly give them your full and dedicated attention. Some of them, like Bob, traveled far to get here tonight, so we are grateful. Quick update on membership and treasury reports. We have a total of regular and associate members, 7,469. Our bank balance is 53,761 and 61 cents, and we have a credit line available of 24,000. First-time attendees, any first-time attendees out there, raise your hands. Outstanding, welcome. There you go. Birthdays, one of our board members, Sam DeGraw, where is he? Turning 39, I believe, right? Just at 11, 39. Happy birthday, I hope his wife brought a cake. 56, 56 años, 56. All right, a couple quick announcements. Guns and Goodies raffle number 3. We have been successful on the first 2. The mailing went out yesterday. This is vital to keep our organization up and going. And I believe we sent you by email a flyer like this. Those have hyperlinks, so you can actually click on those hyperlinks, see what that block is all about, see what that Smith & Wesson is all about. And then some of the restaurants. They're $20 a piece. We are looking for sellers. What a seller is someone that would sell 10 tickets. Again, it's not hard. People that want a gun sometimes $400, $500, $600 is a lot of money for them. But they'll take a chance to try to win a gun for $20. Again, you have some restaurants. We have the Green Pond Country Club. So if you like golf, there's 2 tickets to play golf with a golf cart. So a lot of great prizes there. The ticket will look like that coming in the mail to you. On the left, it's yellow. And then if you see up there where it says read and attend, we have our Tea Party meetings. Okay? That's the text you would have got today. If you click on that, again, you will see that we have Bobby Gunter Walsh's program there listed of what time he interviewed our 2 featured guests. And there's some other announcements there. In regards to the membership and raffle mailing party, I want to thank the following people: myself, Emily, Veronica, Tom Campione, Roger, Judy, Jim, Sandy, Kathy, Valerie, Sam, Lidsa, Bill Rush, Mel, Joan, Al, Joe Matias, Steve, and Maureen. It was about 20 of us that we put together 5,700 envelopes we stuffed in 4 hours.
Wow!
And that's what the group looked like, right there. If you ever want to be part of that team, see me, I'll put you down. So what we do is we take over a restaurant and we stuff these envelopes. Every team has a different way. And let's see if we can get this to work here. This is what goes on. As you can see, Al has his back to the camera. There's Sam talking. There you go. All right. Next up, we have our 50-50 raffle in the back. Maureen and Tom back there waiting at you. Hopefully we'll have a big jackpot tonight. So make sure at the break you go over there and you buy your 50-50 tickets. Next up, we also have the 100 ticket raffle. And if you win that, you get a $500 gift certificate to use at one of the following places: Relic Hunter, we have a sporting place, or A for your hardware. See Emily in the back, she has those tickets. Also, the Second Amendment, we don't have to set up tonight. And if anyone would like to help out with the Second Amendment, see me at the break. But they have some really nice tents that Steve set up over there for us, and some other merchandise, including shirts. I have them over here in my corner this evening. If you don't have cash, we have Lehigh Valley Tea Party chips, and they are over here in the back corner over there with the machines, and they're basically an opportunity for you to swipe a card, and then you get a chip, and you can use it to purchase something in the room. Also, to get my Scouts to West Point, we have in the back my dear friend Joe selling brownies, fresh filled cannolis, and crumb cake. That's how we pay for the van and transportation, some other expenses. We greatly appreciate your help in that. As I mentioned last month, one of my younger Scouts who has now attended West Point Camp Reef for the last 3 years is very serious in applying for West Point. He met our congressman, and he will be meeting our senator at the upcoming Northampton County banquet. Okay? All right, let's see here. Also, legal defense or self-defense, U.S. Law Shield. Also, I believe it was sent out either by text or email. They are going to do a lecture series at Pizza Chef. They have enough for 50 seats. At your tables, it's an opportunity for you to register with the QR code. Even if you are a member, it's an opportunity to be better educated about self-defense. Okay? Definitely worth joining, definitely worth attending. Support the troops. Valerie was one of those folks that texted me about an hour ago, said she was on her way, and unfortunately where she's coming from, her streets were flooded out, so she's one of those that was unfortunately had to turn back. As far as our donations, we are asking you to be generous. We're asking you to be kind and consider putting as much money as you can in the buckets to keep our operation going. In addition, purchasing the tickets that I had mentioned earlier. It costs us money to rent the room to do these communications. Okay, without further ado, we are going to invite our special guest from WAEP, Bobby Dunbar Walsh, to come up to the stage and say a few words. Again, he will do a couple speakers.
I wasn't planning on saying anything, but Andrew said what you'd like to, and he said something that really is bothering me. That is that he had a few friends die, and there's less people coming to the meetings. And we have, if you look around the room, myself included, an aging demographic. And there's less people here in an off-year election. And we need to get folks, the left is taking it really serious. They've captured our schools, they're indoctrinating our children. So how do we get younger people, even people who are just out of college, to come to a Tea Party meeting when they already believe that we're the ones that are wrong? We've got it. So Maria, over at the table I was sitting at, is with the Southern Lehigh School Board. They need 4 Republicans to run for a seat. They only have 3. The very thing I'm talking about, the schools where they're capturing our children, there should not ever be such a thing as an off-year election. And I know I'm preaching to the converted, because if we could just turn out half of what we turn out in a general election, we would crush it. But it's right, but we don't. We don't. We end up being as anemic as the left, and it's these pitiful turnouts in off-year elections, midterm elections, whatever you want to call them, and there should never be that. These are so critical. We don't even have candidates for the Southern Lehigh School Board. It's crazy. My suggestion, I think, is greatly renaming it, because it's worth the chance, because the younger generation doesn't know what Tea Party means. MAGA has obviously some universal appeal. It appeals to a lot of different people, different, not just demographics, but sociographics, different ethnicities. So our mission is to try to get some way, somehow, maybe we should all try to make it a mission to bring one person that's 40 or under to one of these meetings. We've got, see, WAEP's got the same issue. Our listeners are dying off. So what we do is dumb stuff, but it's little stuff. We play rock bumper music. We play top 40 bumper music. We give away tickets to Hart. We gave away tickets last year to Taylor Swift. We're just giving away anything that would get younger people to tune in and sample the station. We're trying to present we're still presenting conservative talk, We're just trying to make it appealing to a younger demographic. So we're faced with that same problem. We need to keep replacing people that are dying, and so far we're managing to do that with the things we're doing. We all need to be just as engaged as the Tea Party of how are we going to get more people to these meetings and more younger people to these meetings and more younger people to understand our Constitution. I have to say one other thing. It was great to talk to both of the guests that are here tonight. Robert told me about K through 12 education, these 80 schools that Hillsdale College has, K through 12 schools that they have throughout the country. It's something that we need to probably get one of those here. And I'll tell you why. I was shocked to find out that at the Catholic school my granddaughters attended, they're now going to a different school, a public school, God help them, and who knows what could be indoctrinated with there. But even at the Catholic school, there was a lot of leftist stuff being taught. And it was incredibly anti-Trump. Yes, indeed. You don't understand what's going on even in parochial schools, even in so-called other private schools. So we need schools like Hillsdale College and other schools like that that are truly conservative. So we got a big problem on our hands. And everybody's saying Trump is in, he's doing great, he is. That is the tip of the iceberg, folks. We got a long way to go. I applaud you and I appreciate you guys being here because I'm preaching to the converted, but maybe we can all bring some more people and convert them. God bless you. Thank you.
Amen. And thank you, Bobby. Okay, our first speaker is Dr. Shamini Wheeler, who is a member and also part of our medical freedom team here at the Lehigh Valley Tea Party. Without further ado, welcome Dr. Shamini Wheeler.
Now it's on.
I have to move this down a little bit. Thank you so much for having me, Andrew, and for having me on the radio, and it's a huge thank you to my husband, Dr. Greg Wheeler. He is my partner in crime in all of this, so I got to be the one to come up here and speak here. It was easier to do one than two. So, there's a lot going on, so I wanted to kind of get started. The three things I wanted to, it is about making our nation great again, and I, as a pediatrician, I really do think that the young people are hearing our message. They may not be in here, but they showed up and they turned out and they voted, right? So to make America great again, we need them, and they are coming. It's just taking time. So I think all the outreach and the social media and all of that is definitely going to work. So we're going to talk about this. So I have a lot of slides, and the reason I wanted to start with the financial aspect of our health care is to kind of show you where we are. Our revenue was estimated by the Congressional Budget Office to be in 2025 to be about 5.2 trillion. And of course, we all know our spending always exceeds our revenue. Next slide. So then I wanted to kind of hone in on the dollars that we spend on healthcare. So if we look at that, the two things that I circled, those two lines all represent healthcare in the form of Medicare and then the other half, our federal budget. That's where it goes. The toppest line is, so in healthcare we spend more than we do in anything when we combine those two green lines together. The next slide. So then, you know how our government is constantly have to shut down, we have and we have to refund, raise the debt ceiling and all of that. And I don't know if why is that? Why do we have to constantly go to fund the government? It's because of this. If you look at all the blue, that is a mandatory spending that our federal government has. It's not discretionary. That means that amount of money is already allocated for. So that mandatory, so even a I mean, we have a net interest, 13% of our is on the interest on our debt. But the mandatory spending is huge. So even if we cut every social program, every single thing that is discretionary, and that's actually part of, I mean, military is not a discretionary, but it's in the discretionary portion of the budget. We will still not be able to get out of debt because our mandatory spending on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and other is that blue part of the pie. So when we look at this, Social Security is basically all Medicare and Medicaid account. Then out of all the mandatory, that portion is 75% of the mandatory, 130 billion. In 2024, our federal budget revenue was 4.9 trillion, and our healthcare spending in the United States was 4.9 trillion. Out of that 4.9 trillion, 1.9 trillion came from the federal government, and then we, as individuals, paid the other 3 trillion. So healthcare is truly a Goliath profiteer. So when we look at this, and from 1990 to 2020, that is where the healthcare spending has gone. It's gone from 17% to 36%. In this time period. So how did this double to that point? And that's just 2020. So then the Congressional Budget Office actually has projections on the net interest on our loans. So our loans and everything, it continues. I mean, the interest rate is exponential. Not completely, but it's definitely getting pretty close there by 2035. Then when you look at our average household income, is that bottom line, and our basically the cost in healthcare for an individual, that's the other line. That's the reality of it. So what I wanted to talk to you about is how did this happen in our nation in the last 30 to 50 years in healthcare? How did that line become such an accelerated growth rate in spending? And this is what? This is total market control. It allows truly the healthcare to have the Goliath profit margins that it has. So I'm going to take CVS Health as an example. In New York Stock Exchange, CVS Health is the parent company that owns all of those other things. So Aetna is the insurance company CVS Health owns. They own does anybody here know what a pharmacy business manager is, PBM? Anybody have heard of that? Yep. Couple of people. Does anybody, and the other one, GPO, is Group Purchasing Organization. So those two things, PBMs was created, is basically they negotiate contracts between, say, drug price A to say that on tier 1 on the Aetna plan, this is what that drug price will be. And Group Purchasing Organization is also the negotiator, but they're for the inpatient world, for hospitals, to do that. So now they're negotiating with a pharmaceutical, this company, and they are negotiating for another company called Aetna. There is vertically integrated. And then they decide, that same company, what you're going to sell it for in the retail market. So they own the CVS pharmacy. And then they own the doctors who who write the prescriptions and all of that are the providers. And when you look at it, a patient is not even on this chart. And why is that? Because patients are truly a commodity that are bought and sold. We as patients, that's where we are. So the marketplace is vertically integrated. That is why we have that exponential growth rate, and it's gone to this way. And when we look at our whole federal pie chart of spending, if we don't fix healthcare, doesn't matter what else we do, as far as if our country will go bankrupt. On the burdens of our grandchildren, our children, and all of that. There's no ifs and so buts. So we have got to fix that. So this is looking at federal revenue, and I think this is really interesting too. So most of our, we know our revenue comes from individual income and then payroll, right? Next slide. So this is if we don't fix it, no matter, we elect people to Congress, they figure out the budget, they raise the debt ceiling, fund the government for a couple more months, do it all over again and again, right? So in that, if you look at this picture right here, no matter what we do, if we don't change that, the mandatory spending, no matter how much cutting we do in the discretionary, the mandatory is just going to continue to rise. And that mandatory spending, most of it is on healthcare and in the whole Goliath system. Next one. So the way that I look at it, the revenue, is projected for the federal government is pretty much in a pretty straight line. So the projection for in 2024 is at 4.9 trillion, close to 5 trillion. And this is where, and out of that, the other portion, the reason this pie I wanted to show you is that there's care delivery and research is 75% of it, but the administrative costs. So the distancing of the doctor-patient relationship, all that time where at one time you were able to know your doctor, see your doctor, now your doctor is between, there is you, the insurance company, the hospital administrators, the CDC guidelines, the protocol, this journal, that, the pharmaceutical, the insurance, there's regulatory, the distance is this. And all of it comes into those administrative costs. So the system is too big and too much heavily funded for us to try to say, let's fix this portion of it or this portion of it. We really do have to, the current sandbox, they control that vertical integration of the healthcare, they control the rules. So if we try to play in their sandbox and go by their rules, we might feel better because, they let us share in some of it at one time, but we're never going to change it. We have to build another sandbox and make new rules that are patient first, patient-centered, restore the doctor-patient relationship, that allow free market to do what free market does, which is choose your sandbox. If you want this, and the reason we can do that is because us, as patients, we're the ones who give every dollar into the healthcare system. So we have the power to change it. And we just all have to take a part in that to do that. And the way we can do that is every patient, us, to ask two simple questions. When you go to get healthcare? And these two questions are not asked today because people have the procedures and then you get the pill. You don't know what you're going to do before you do it. So the two questions that we ask every time we go to a grocery store to buy milk, we say, do I need this? How much does it cost? We need every patient to ask those two questions. Do I need this? How much does it cost? So then all of those things, even insurance companies that says, the reason they feel they should dictate a patient's care is because there's too much fraud, waste, and abuse. Because there was, an extra billing code that gets to get added and all of this stuff to try to collect money. So they feel that they need to be the regulators and say, no, patient does not need this because they're preventing fraud, waste, and abuse. Then there's the doctor and the patient says, no, this is what I need, so why do I have to get a chest x-ray, do 8 months of therapy, then have my surgery? When you know this, right? So it's designed to that. But if those two questions were asked, if the patient had said, how do I need this, and how much does it cost, and the patient had the autonomy to make that decision in the bonds of that doctor-patient relationship, there would not be fraud, waste, and abuse. It will be done appropriately. Just like there's no fraud, waste, and abuse when we buy a gallon of milk. It just doesn't happen because we ask those questions. So this new sandbox is direct primary care. And President Donald Trump, RFK, Marty McCary, they're all behind this model. This model is what's called, is direct primary care is restoring, it's a direct relationship. It's moving that vertical integration away, and it's a direct relationship between you and the patient. So one of the best things that part of the One Big Beautiful Bill that got passed, it was a huge fight. Actually, Donald Trump tried to do something like this in his first term, signed an executive order that got lost, so it didn't happen. But now it's in the bill, it's signed, it's going to become effective, go into play January 1st, 2026. And that is health savings accounts were expanded. And what does that, why is that such a great thing? Because health savings accounts today has to be tied to a high deductible insurance plan, but you as an individual can get one. It's not tied to a job. You want to go to the next one? So what it does, it allows you to pay for this direct relationship, direct primary care. Direct primary care, how many here have heard of direct primary care? Just a few. So it has grown 271% across the country. There are about 20,000 direct primary care physicians out of about 500,000 primary care doctors in the country. And the reason this is direct primary care is concierge medicine, but it is not concierge prices, meaning that you pay a membership fee, and for that, you get 24/7 access. You get to have a relationship with your doctor, but the best thing about it is relationship. We were created for relationship. And healthcare, one of those things where when you're vulnerable and you're sick, it needs to happen at the relationship level. And with that, the decisions should be made in that relationship level and not regulated and somebody else telling you what to do. So what in this model, because it's a relationship driven, but healthcare is still a business, right? You need money to have it run. So the membership allows the business to run, and it separates the doctor-patient's clinical relationship. So the decisions are not based on the business of it. Today, the business is based on diagnostic codes. How many codes a patient can get added on that gives diagnosis, that's how money is collected. Billing is not collected by the time of amount of service, amount of level of training, it's all based on diagnostic codes. That's why when you get to after this summary, there's like a billion things that you got treated for. Did you actually get treated for all of those? No, but those are all billing abilities that they can bill and to extract money from the insurance. The insurance, like, well, are they getting fraud, waste, and abuse? Did the patient really have this billing code? CVS is currently in a lawsuit for Medicare fraud for these things. And if CVS is because they own Aetna. They're in a lawsuit for that. So this, instead of, and that model, what's really bad about that model, the diagnostic code-based model, it promotes illness, because the more illness we can list on a patient, the more profit it generates. Direct primary care model promotes wellness and the relationship, because the better the relationship, the more well the patient is what the doctor wants and what the patient wants. So very rarely is there in a business model can you increase quality and decrease cost. And direct primary care does both. It's very rewarding. It actually truly transforms healthcare in every aspect of it. From the patient perspective, you have access and care. Currently, when we have this insurance card and we say, I have health insurance, so you think you have care and access, but you don't, because that's why there's urgent care all across because you weren't able to get into the doctor when you were sick. So you go to the urgent care. So you have the card, but there's no access. You have the card, you can't get the care. So it's a false sense of security that we've been lulled into to have insurance. DPC says you have your primary care doctor, you have care, and 24/7 access. And in our sense, the success of this model would be that there will be no urgent cares because you have access to your patients. The patients have access to you. So that would be that. We can actually go to the next one. So there are right now 241% up to 2021. It's definitely growing. There are other direct models that are all being offered and it's growing. And the reason I wanted to bring the HSA into it, this is the first time that President Trump was behind it, is to expand health savings accounts to be able to cover direct primary care membership and gyms. And this is the first time where wellness was actually considered health care instead of just illness. So it allows the money to be back in the hands of us as patients to do what we think we need to do for our health. And so this, right now there is something called a DPC mapper. You can put your zip code in locally. There are 5 direct primary care offices. I'm just one of them, my husband and I. And there are other doctors that are looking to do that. Their Boeing airline company actually recognizes this benefit because the reason they recognize their benefit is because patients have access, they use less urgent care, they don't go to the ER as much because they have access to their doctor, so it saves them a lot on their health plan. So Boeing Airline, they don't have enough, there's not enough DPC doctors, so right now what their plan offers is only a DPC, but a tele-based DPC. We get emails from big companies all the time asking if we want to be there to help with DPC because companies see the benefits of it. To see the benefits of all of that. So it's good. The model is growing. This is so really my call to action. Our call to action is to learn about the model. Google direct primary care. Our website has a ton of information. It transforms healthcare from a patient's perspective by giving care and access, from a physician's perspective because you actually get to treat patients. The reason you went to a med school. From a business perspective, it allows the business to run and not be burned by all the other things. And even an insurance perspective, because we really need a health insurance to model car insurance, where it covers the big items, like car accidents, but not oil changes. In our office, the annual labs that are covered by insurance would only be $20 out of pocket if you did it with us in our lab. And every other DPC office too, or in our community, it would be that. So the more direct that we can get, the better the cost savings it will be. And by creating this sandbox, doing this, we're really making a significant difference in the healthcare marketplace to compete in that, so that we don't go bankrupt and people are actually better. I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
We have the mics that are at corners here, so if you have a question, wait till either Sam or Juan come with the mic. I just wonder, how many of you remember Greg and Shami? They've been here before. How many of you remember that? So I literally remember when they were starting this, that they were leaving one of the hospitals. And I'm not sure if they knew were they going to succeed or not, but I'm sure, like us turning from Lehigh Valley Tea Party to LV MAGA, the big word is always fear, which stands for false evidence appearing real. Yep. If you have the skill sets, the knowledge, and the confidence in yourself and our Lord, you can do great things like they're doing. So thank you so much for stepping forward.
Thank you. My husband and I will tell you, it truly is the Lord. I mean, we really feel like from the strong stand you took during COVID, and it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to us. And we feel like we walked through the parting of the Red Sea to where we are today because we're part of a God's movement to transform healthcare.
Okay, Sam, you have someone back there? Okay.
Dr. Wheeler, most of us here, I think, are probably on some kind of Medicare program. I'm told that I have Medicare plus a supplemental program that's the best. They don't want me to go to an Advantage Care plan because it's such a good plan that I already have. So I go in and I see the doctor. I do what he tells me most of the time, and I try to make sure my insurance payments are covered. So I don't really feel any pressure to negotiate prices or anything like that. I just trust that the system is working for me. So how, as a senior citizen with a pretty good program, I mean, I have no idea how much it compares with any other program, but is there any incentive for me to move to a DPC program?
I think only the reason that you would be is that if there was something in your health that you felt like you needed to. So, and I think what you said is really where we are. We are lulled into saying that I have it okay, so it's okay. And that's where that mandatory spending is. Because we don't have any ownership on the price of what something is, right? So you just kind of go with that. And I don't think you would have to, we have a lot of Medicare, we actually have patients on our panel right now. And they choose it not because they don't have Medicare, most of them have a supplemental or an Advantage or something like that. But even our patients on Medicare, one reason they end up coming and seeing us is because they want to be not just not sick, but they want to be well. There's a big difference in that. So for example, vitamin D level. We check a vitamin D level on our patients because we know a level of 70 or a little bit higher is optimal. Capital Blue Cross just came out, which is part of the supplemental program, said that they would not cover vitamin D level. Out of pocket, if we did that and they do it, it's like our office is $19 and something to do that. But why is that vitamin D level so important? The reason it's so important is it's involved in like hundreds of processes in our body, and especially your immune system health. So our system is incentivized not to check that level because it allows our patients to get sicker and to need higher level of care. So it incentivizes illness. So it's not that you get it because you're sick. You really should get it to stay well, is the way I would look at it. And our office is a little bit different, and I don't want to talk about it. Our office is a very holistic approach. We do a lot of nutrition, a lot of other things that to help prolong, we say age gracefully, instead of just aging. So it's a little bit different. That would be what I would say.
In the back of the room, Dr. Tom Jordan.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Wheeler. This is very interesting. My wife and I have kind of come around to improving our nutrition and our health, and there's lots of stuff on the internet, but to actually find a physician that will, treat you in this manner is what we're looking for. So how do we find, can we sign up to your office or another office? I mean, we're just trying to find somebody that will think this way, because our doctors are all about telling us things that we don't agree with anymore. We don't agree with the low-fat, low-salt diet anymore. We want good fats, and we want, good nutrition.
Right.
And what you're saying is what we're looking for.
No, 100%. 100%, and it's very rewarding. Like I just had a patient, his hemoglobin A1C was 6.3, so not really bad enough to be on meds, but we had a long conversation. I said, you're not, like, it's not bad, and yes, we can wait a year and repeat as Medicare would allow in a year, or we can do something because that 6.3 hemoglobin is giving you a very high blood sugar all over that's wreaking havoc in your body and inflammation, and it's not helping your eyes, your kidneys, your legs, every other part of your body. So we talked about it, and he has done everything we've asked, and his last hemoglobin A1C was 5.4. And that is with nutrition and lifestyle. We do something called 7 pillars of health, and that is everything in healthcare and precision is made through what we call the 7 pillars of health, meaning your first pillar, your vertical relationship with God. Second pillar, mental wellness, your horizontal relationships with those around you. Nutrition, physical activity, water, sleep, work, play, balance, and serve heart. But that patient now, you know, he's elderly. His hemoglobin A1C went from 6.3 to 5.4, and he feels great. He's riding bikes, doing all kinds of stuff. So, you know, so by doing that, is he going to end on meds maybe one day? Maybe, but maybe 20 years instead of 3. You know, so that's the difference. I don't think we bought any cars or anything, but we can.
I have some feeling.
Sure, you have some. Okay, that would be great. But thank you.
Okay, we have another question to your right. Raise your hands if you want to mic.
Hello, I'm over here. Customers do realize that when we were younger, we paid the doctor directly, and at that time it could have been like $5 or $20, and he knew all about us for like the 20 years of our life until the 80s when the HMOs came in. So I understand what you're doing because of the industry. I'm aware of everything with that. But the average cost is how much do we pay. Most of the doctors that I'm starting to see again, they charge either a monthly or a yearly fee. How do we get out of paying the Medicare portion of our Social Security? That's where our struggle is that I'm paying, you know, the $230 a month, but I gotta be paid doctor $230. In 2002, my doctor physician left and went to Florida because he said he's done with here in Pennsylvania because they started a bunch of doctors and started this back then. That's how I learned about this stuff.
No, 100%. So one of the things that this is the first time with this bill, with the Big Beautiful Bill, HSA expansion, it actually included HSA for Medicare Part A. So if you have Medicare Part A, you can still have a health savings account. So what happens is when we have the different programs in Medicare, it comes out of your Social Security check, and you don't even necessarily recognize that how much is actually you're still paying for your health care. It's very hard for me to stand here and say that this is what we should do today, right? Because our system is big. We saw the pie chart and how it is, and everybody needs care, and you have to do what works for your own family. So their Medicare Part A covers hospitalization. Part B covers outpatient care, including ER. So there is a choice where you could go Medicare Part A and not get Part B. But if you go to the ER, you will get that ER bill unless you get hospitalized. Then Part A will cover. So that you would never want to get that ER bill. But there is a movement in that some hospitals today, because drug primary care is going so well, that are actually trying to say that if you come to the ER and you sign this piece of paper and you pay $200 up front or whatever it is, you will not get whatever we do in the ER, that'll be your bill. You won't get any more. There's pluses and minuses to that. Are you going to get the care you want, or are the doctors incentivized not to necessarily do all the care that they need? because you're only getting that $200. So I don't know the right answer, but they're all little things that we have to do to change. And what I'm hoping is those in our, 30s and 40s that can build their HSA. I mean, there's no reason if we can HSA roll over. We should be able to pay for, a cabbage with no issues. Cardiac bypass out of an HSA if we are able to continue to expand it and grow and change the system. That sandbox to get bigger.
Sam, do you have another person here?
Yeah.
We'll take 3 more questions. Here's our person.
Are there any surgeons on board with this? And maybe that's what I think you answered the question about hospitals accepting this. I had a nightmare myself recently.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So there's actually a surgical center in Oklahoma that is a direct care, meaning that if you need your gallbladder out, there's a price on there, on the thing that you can go and have your gallbladder out. There's actually another, it's called Free Market Health. They're trying to create an Amazon-type platform for healthcare, meaning that they are trying to onboard doctors. So it's a little bit difficult platform to create because it's not like Amazon in that you can order a number of books and then if somebody buys it, you have a book to ship. So they need they need the people to buy and the doctors to be on there, right? So, but it's all about direct access. And there's another one called Uber Docs, and so there's it's not direct primary care, it's one portion, but really it's the direct relationship. So there's specialists, it's called direct specialty care, so somebody has, say, ulcerative colitis, and that's their main pathology, and they need more GI help. Instead of having a regular primary care, they could have the GI as their direct specialty care. So there's all of that, there's a movement for it. And there's definitely, but what's holding us back is the word that Andrew said, is fear. It's why the movement is hard, because we may not like what we have, but we're comfortable with it.
Okay, we have here to your right, we have like 3 more quick questions. So 1 in the back, and then we have 2 here in the front, and that'll be it.
Hi, I'm Donna, and as an ERRN, I'm really excited about this because I try to incorporate teaching with all of my patients. My question is, do DPC providers accept Medicare or supplements or private insurance, and how are you adequately reimbursed? Because is my $100 a month really enough for you to have that reimbursement?
So definitely, no. So for me to be a direct primary care doctor, I actually have to opt out of Medicare. And Medicare actually consists, and our patients actually sign something that says that they know that we don't take Medicare, pretty much that they are accepting a lesser level of care because they're not taking Medicare. And otherwise it would be considered Medicare fraud for me, and for the patient actually. So we don't, and so as a doctor, you said it's $100 a month really enough. The reason it's really enough is because as soon as we say no to Medicare and no to insurance negotiating, our overhead cost goes down 30%. And all of the prior authorizations and that whole rigmarole of administrative costs. And so that because that goes down that much is why we can put that price directly back to the patient, and that's why the cost of care is so low. For unlimited visits, even if you went to the higher end, $95 a month, for unlimited visits for the year, you think it would be crazy, but it works.
Okay, right here to your right.
So it sounds like you need a lot more doctors to get this program really moving. What is the financial incentive for a physician to be a participant in direct primary care?
I love that question. It's a huge financial incentive. It's the same incentive why the health system became the way it is today. That is, businesses went to doctors and said, I will take care of the business, you just see patients. The incentive for doctors is that doctors want to see patients and spend time with them to figure it out. we learned that 70% of our time needs to be spent on figuring out what's they take in that history. So the incentive for doctors is the time to be able to do that. And then, so what direct primary care does is separates the business from the patient. The business just runs. And because, so you end up deciding what your membership panel will be, what is comfortable. It's not the model to become super rich at all, because you can't see that many people to become super rich. But it is a model to like be very satisfied and grow because the business runs. So there's you know, a lot of times people say people will, you get a job because you love the job. You'll stay at that job more for you like it than how much you get paid for it. And that's where primary care is.
Who pays the insurance for the physician?
Malpractice insurance?
Yes.
We do.
The business pays for it.
I personally pay for it.
So the physician still pays
Yes,
for it?
my husband and I own our practice. We pay for the electricity, we pay for the water, we pay for malpractice, every other insurance that the government wants us to have, and a fire extinguisher here and there, we pay for that.
Okay, last question here to your right.
Hello, Dr. Wheeler. I want to thank you and your family for coming back and talking with us about this. My question is, my son is an anesthesiologist, and he's involved with a lot of transplants and things. What happens if I need a transplant?
So that's why insurance we want to transform healthcare in a way that insurance models car insurance. So transplant is like a car accident, it's a bigger thing. So that's where insurance would come in to pay for it. So it's not just insurance, we also do what's called share plans. I have to have patients on share plans who had an appendectomy. It was a 3-day hospital stay, and they ended up paying $1,000 out of pocket. That's it. So transplant would be that big ticket item. Direct primary care by itself is not enough. You pay directly for the oil changes, like your blood work, a chest x-ray, an MRI that's $500, a chest x-ray that's $50. But a transplant is where that other part comes in. Yeah.
So on behalf of the Lehigh Valley Tea Party, we want to thank you. Folks, think about it. Obamacare, right? The government wants to control your health care. Do they have your best interests? As Bobby said, this is why it's important to vote, because having President Trump now, something like Dr. Wheeler and her husband are talking about, now we have an opportunity to go in a different sandbox. So thank you so much for
Thank you so
informing
much.
us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time, if you could just stay seated for a second. Tonight, our coffee sponsors are Katie, Andrew, Evelyn, Jackie, Juan, Paul, Franklin, Ann, Marie, and Eric. Some of our setup and breakdown crew were kind enough to put some money together to make your coffee available for you tonight. During the break, we would like you to be so considerate of seeing Hunky Joe, our bartender in the back there, treat him nice. And then we have our 50-50 raffle tickets. We have our cakes and cannolis back there. And see Jackie for the Fearless Meat raffle tickets, a fun event. And also Emily has our Guns and Goodies tickets. If you want to be sellers, see her to get a stack of tickets. And also we have our 100 gun tickets in the back. So thank you so much. We'll see you after the break. Also, in the front of the room, adjacent to the flag, is Mr. Bob Ham. So again, they put me in touch with Mr. Bob Ham. He had a doctor's appointment scheduled. He was kind enough to switch his doctor's appointment. He says, I'm going to make this work. He was going to fly out here. Instead, due to the rain, he drove down here from Connecticut. So the Lord works in mysterious ways. So without further ado, as you read up there, Robert Ham took the USA during the Reagan historic presidency. Okay, he's going to actually send us audio about that. We'll play more, and I'm just going to let him take over right now. So again, let's give a big welcome to Robert Ham on behalf of Hillsdale College. And
Valley Tea Party group. You guys are fabulous. I've talked to many people in here tonight. I talked with a couple of gentlemen wearing DD hats from 1952, 54, and I have to admit that's about when I was born. But at the same time, you are impressive. I heard from Bobby in here that we all have to be the ones that are making change, and yes, we do. I heard also from Dr. Wheeler that we have to take it upon ourselves to do it. You folks here are the force multiplier for what Hillsdale College is trying to do. Hillsdale College is not here asking for donations. Hillsdale College is here trying to make sure that you know what Hillsdale College is doing. Now, every now and then, somebody might come in a little bit of money, somebody might say, gee whiz, I don't need this R&D or something like that. I think Hillsdale can use it. That's what you can call it, Hillsdale saying, I'd like to help. Nobody's going to come say, I'll turn you upside down and ask for your money. Hillsdale has a bunch of literature here tonight that is to be used for you to be a force multiplier out there with everybody else. I heard God, I heard country, I heard all the things that we all know and hold dear. Hillsdale is trying to teach as many of our fellow citizens as possible. Yes, our demographic, but more importantly, the younger demographic. So that is why we have, and I have some examples here, the monthly, it's nearly monthly, 10 times a year in Primus. It's free. If you don't get in Primus, in fact, actually, let me ask, how many people have signed up, how many people get in Primus? Show our hands, please. All right, so many of you, but there are a few that haven't done it. Please do sign up for it. It is free. It'll show up in your mailbox or wherever you want to get it. You can also get it online. You can go to the next slide, please. Continue, please. All right, so I've done that. There are now 232,000 people who receive in Primus in Pennsylvania. That's about 1.7% of your 13 million people. Nationally, it's about 1.7%, 7 million out of the 330 million people. You can do better. So on the tables and up here as well, there are sign-up sheets for Primus. Sign up your neighbors. Sign up your friends. Sign up your enemies. I don't care. Sign up Primus, you guys, and we will get through to somebody. My story, very briefly, is I grew up in Maine. And in '87, I got married. My father-in-law, farmer in Connecticut. That's why I live in the People's Democratic Republic of Connecticut. And he got me there in Primus. He said, here, take it, it's free. Well, let's just say, when he said it's free, my thrifty, cheap jeans said, okay, I'll take it. I left active duty, traveled around the world, lived around the world with 3 different companies, and my adopted daughter, I can brag about her, she's adopted, not my genes, was accepted at Hillsdale, the Air Force Academy, a bunch of other sporting places. She said, Daddy, I want to go to Hillsdale. I said, sweetheart, go to Air Force. I don't have to write a check. She said, Daddy, I want to go to Hillsdale. Best thing that ever happened to her and to me. I retired from industry 7 years ago. Hillsdale said, hey, you have a daughter that's a graduate of the school. We've been members to the school as well. We set a scholarship for a student. And they have opened up a facility in Connecticut called the Blake Center for Faith and Freedom. Would you go out and help? Tell people what Hillsdale is doing. So let me just read through my slides here. One thing that is an applause line, wherever we go, Hillsdale does not take a single penny of our tax dollars. None. Zero. Zilch. None. How is that different? How is that different? Around the country, there are nearly 5,000 schools. There are actually 3, maybe 4 that do not take tax dollars. And others, Grove City here in Pennsylvania. But Hillsdale's out there trying to educate everybody. In the class of 29, we just brought in 385 students from 40 states. And I don't pay much attention, quite frankly, to academic achievement, but these kids are sharp. They're a lot sharper than I'll ever be, I'll guarantee you that. Acceptance rate, it's under 20%, it's about 19%, so it is getting difficult to get in there, but Hillsdale's looking for people that come from the stock that we have right here, people who believe in God and country, who know what it is to work. I heard a bunch of people say tonight, gee whiz, not everybody goes to college, not everybody should. I agree. But we're out there trying to teach the students in the younger grades. Government education today, we'll talk about mandates and control. Please continue. Tax dollars supporting favored causes. We heard about it in the medical field with Dr. Wheeler. The government gets involved. What happens every time the government gets involved? Prices go up, efficiency goes down. That's what Hillsdale is trying to show as a business model, that it doesn't have to be that way with education either. And often, and you've read this also, there are more admin people involved in the schools than there are teachers. And what are they doing? Department of Education is a big bugaboo right now. Trump has done, they got given them a mandate to do something there, to reduce the headcount there. But think about it. It had been nearly 4,000 people, and it was 90 billion of our tax dollars at the Department of Education. It is now at 3,000 people, but how many teachers are inside that Department of Education? Yeah, there's nobody there to teach us. They're going to tell the teachers what to do, they'll tell the administrators what to do, they'll shovel a few dollars, but they'll spend your tax dollars, and oh, by the way, when it comes to a push and shove, and if somebody has to make a decision between that item or this item, guess what? They're going to favor their item, and you know what it is. Please continue. COVID, we heard this from Dr. Wheeler. COVID showed us what happened. Education is the means to achieve self-governing citizenry and limited government and stable freedom. I heard that today many different ways from individuals. Limited government. You folks are out there doing it. Thank you for what you're doing. I wish I could transplant this entire group up to People's Democratic Republic of Connecticut. Because that's what it is. We're hearing this today with the gerrymandering debate. Okay? The gerrymandering debate says, gee whiz, California's saying we're going to re-gerrymander because 17% representation of Republicans out of all the congressional seats, that's too many. Where are you going to bring it down? Well, guess what? 18 to 20 million people in the 6 New England states, how many how many Republican Congress people are there out of New England? Nada, zero, zilch, nada. I went and asked my Democrat Congress lady this past February at a curated meeting she had. 300 people, she sent it out on Facebook and all the other social media that I don't use. I happened to see an article in the newspaper, so I went, I'm going to go ask her a question. I asked her a question about what she was going to do to reduce costs, and when she stopped trying to forgive student loans because taxpayers like us have to pay for those loans. I got beat up by the 300 people in that room to the point where she actually had to intervene. She thought she had to, she didn't really have to. Let's continue. Continuing. These are all stats, you guys know the numbers. There's a bunch of great schools all around Pennsylvania and all around the country. The entering argument today for a private liberal arts college, something on the order of $80,000, probably more in many cases. Hillsdale is under 50, it's about $45,000 to $48,000. But the average student, because there are so many people like us who say, gee, I get a few extra dollars, I want to help, is down at around $18,000 to $22,000. They could completely make it free, but they want the student to have skin in the game. So it is not something that's out of reach for somebody who says, gee whiz, I have the ambition, I have the ability, I have the propensity. Please continue. All right, the primers, I just mentioned that, 7 million roughly. Online courses, hang on a second. Moving right along. Up here on the table is something that is near and dear, should be near and dear to everybody here. Even if you, your grandson, your child doesn't want to go to college, doesn't go to college, doesn't make any difference. We're allowing, as we heard earlier, the bureaucracy to take over and indoctrinate. Bobby Walsh talked about how his grandchild had to move from a Catholic school to a private school, public school, because he or she was being indoctrinated. Well, the Hillsdale method is to open up public charter schools. So they are publicly funded to a certain level, but they have a charter that allows them to use the Hillsdale curriculum. That's the key difference. And people say, gee whiz, why won't Hillsdale sell them up in Allentown? It has nothing to do with Hillsdale. It has something to do with somebody in here that has the ability, the wherewithal, and the fight with them to start a public charter school using Hillsdale's curriculum. 3 or 4 of us could get together, put the stake in the ground, and say, I'm going to put this in, I'm going to go fight the bureaucracy of the state. Now, candidly, 10 years ago, what's Bob going to do when he retires? My wife and I were going to start one in Connecticut. We found out very quickly that Connecticut won't even begin to allow. The guy that started Subway sandwiches in Connecticut donated, I think it's $25 million to set up a charter school in Danbury, Connecticut. For the last 3 years, the state legislature in Connecticut has not signed off on it. So we decided not to fight that battle. Pennsylvania is a bit different, and I think that if somebody's interested in starting a public charter school for K through, typically K through 5, when they start adding a grade each year, it is doable, and there are resources. There's an entire office at Hillsdale, maybe 20 people, that are there with monthly meetings to answer all the standard questions people have, with resources once the thing gets going to help review the application, and to help make people successful in getting that done. I have friends that have started half dozen of these different schools along the way, and it's a fun story for everybody. Other outreach types of things. This is community in here. You folks have a great community. I've talked to any number of, in the 7 years I've been doing this for Hillsdale, I've probably talked to several thousands of people at various Hillsdale events. We do probably 150 events around the country each year. Not all of them on campus, although I would encourage you to go on campus. In many cases, it's considered Mecca. You have to go there to see what's going on. To go to the shooting range. To go see the statue of Reagan that I saw being commissioned at the 100th anniversary of Reagan's birth. To be able to talk to the students, to look them in the eye, to go have lunch with them, to go see Dr. Arn tease them and beat them up because they haven't done their homework well enough, and he's doing it teasingly, but he does have fun with it. And to go on there to understand what it is that other people are doing around the country. I'll be on campus next week, the first time in some time, for a three-day seminar on international relations. And I've got a couple of friends who are actually coming from, one from Pennsylvania, from the main line, who for the last several years has been saying, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go there. He got talking to his son's father-in-law, and he said, yep, we're going to go. And I'm going to go out there and make sure that they see the people they need to see. In D.C., we have what's called the Kirby Center. That started about 15 years ago. A gentleman came along and said, hey, Hillsdale, what are you doing in the belly of the beast? He said, well, we're doing a little of this, a little of that. He said, no, what are you doing? He gave them some money, and it's now called the Alvin Kirby Center in D.C. It's near Union Station across from Heritage. And it's gone from 1 building to 4 buildings, all again with donor dollars to be able to do that. And in the interim, it's created a graduate school for statesmanship and government to be able to teach the people that you and I pay with our tax dollars, working for people that we elect in Congress. When Mike Johnson says, hey, I have somebody that has a need of a staffer, he goes to the Kirby Center talking to Matt Spalding, who runs that. Spalding goes to what he calls, and with a grin on his face, the Hillsdale Mafia. And of the 500 to 600 people who have direct Hillsdale connections in D.C., he finds somebody very quickly. Who in here listens to the Wall Street Journal these days? Few people. 4 of the 10 op-ed writers on the Wall Street Journal are Hillsdale graduates. So they're doing well with that. Who looks at the Federalists? Anybody look at the Federalists? Several of the writers of the Federalists are Hillsdale graduates. Molly Hemingway, not a Hillsdale graduate, but associated with college. I'm sure most people know who she is. And the next outreach area is this Blake Center for Faith and Freedom. If you want to continue, there's probably a picture in there. Please continue. Barney Scott talked about that. I'm trying to be brief with your time, folks. Curriculum. We talked that first school was open in 2012, so there are now, as I said, nearly 84 schools, 31 states. And here's the kicker. 30,000 students enrolled. Now that's a drop in the bucket, but it is 30,000 students who are learning through the classical curriculum that Hillsdale offers to these schools, and they walk out of there, they can go do anything. Not all of them go to Hillsdale College. Not all of them go to college. Some of them are going into trades, some of them are going into the service, and some of them are simply saying, I'm going to go build my own business of some sort. Please continue. I talked about the Hawker shooting range. The Hawker shooting range supports Second Amendment. It is a world-class facility. I shoot ski occasionally, and it is really, really nicely done. The shotgun group at Hillsdale is actually the National Olympic team is training on at Hillsdale. Yep, 6 of the last state. Okay, this is near and dear to me. It's an hour north where I live in Somers, Connecticut, right on the border of what we used to call Massachusetts. And the fun story here, I told it a few times already tonight. Friendly's Ice Cream. Who knows what Friendly's Ice Cream is? 2 brothers founded it in 1935. They sold it in 79. One brother bought it back, one sold it again. But in 2013, Presley Blake said, I'm 98 years old, I'll probably make it to be 100 years old. He did, by the way, he died at the age of 106. So in 2013, he built this facility, a one-for-one replica of Monticello on the outside, on the inside. It's an absolutely gorgeous building. And sold it at auction. Never intended to live in it, didn't plan to live in it, sold it at auction after his birthday party. A lot of schools are talking to Mr. and Mrs. Blake about their estate. When Larry Arndt came there, he pointed at that building on the outside saying, what's that? And Mr. Blake said, I don't know, they sold it. Larry Arndt said, I think that. Mr. Blake went out and bought it back at a premium from the guy he sold it to at auction. So it was a sale. And we are doing events there. We'll have 120 people. We'll show up at 5 o'clock, we'll check you in. You can have a bit of a social hour, you can have a glass of wine if you like, lots of beer, something of that sort. And heavy hors d'oeuvres, and then we'll have a speaker talking about faith and freedom in some form or manner. Okay, this is the Alan Kirby Center down here. Historic documents, Van Andel Graduate School, frequent guest speakers and lecturers. Who in here knows who Mark Levin is? Mark Levin, I was still working in the industry, traveling internationally. I had just come back from Japan. And my wife and I signed up to go to Hillsdale's Curry Center. And she wasn't feeling well, and I was jet lagged. I said, we don't need to go. Turned out they had Mark Levin there for a lunch where he was going to put an original copy of the Federalist Papers on loan. While there, he crossed out the on loan and said, gift by Mark Levin and his wife.
Oh, cool.
That is on display right there, and along with several other documents. Go touch these things, go see these things, talk to the people, become part of it. You are the force multiplier for what Hillsdale is trying to do, which is to educate as many of our fellow citizens of all ages as possible. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for having me here to speak. I'm available for questions.
Does anyone have any questions? One of the first times
I'm that good I answered all your questions. I apologize for being fast-paced, but I was trying to be respectful of your time.
So he was going to fly over here. You can ask him about that. He flies a plane. All right, here we go.
I got a question about purchasing some of your literature. I've been kind of hungry for some of your stuff. But once in a while, when you explain something, what is considered from the Constitution? These are basically equivalent to like college level type publication. So I know typically textbooks are quite expensive. But I tell you, this is looking at 10 years ago. These books are like $800 a piece. Can you help me out with that, maybe?
I'm not sure I understood you. You're talking about you're looking for it at Hillsdale, or?
Yes, these are made sold by Hillsdale, yes.
Yeah. I do know there's a constitutional reader with all the source information, things like that. In fact, at one point we did have it online direct. I don't think that's available now. And I have no earthly idea what the prices of the books are that we charge to the bookstore. I do know that books are driven by the printing industry such as it is. And honestly, I know books have gotten more expensive than that. $800 surprises.
Surprising too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. We did discuss this on the phone. The burning of the flag and what Trump was saying about burning of the flag, the American flag. First Amendment, do we punish people for burning the flag?
Yeah, that's the question that's beyond my pay grade. I like the idea that Mr. Trump is trying to say, let's have some respect for this country and foundational documents and foundational symbols. At the same time, it's a legal question that way beyond my pay grade.
Out of curiosity, how do you folks feel about that? How many do you think it is a First Amendment right to burn the flag?
Your own flag.
How many of you are against us burning the American flag? Just a note to you, yeah? That's where we're at. Just to share that with you.
Right here.
Okay, another question coming to your right.
I know you touched on this briefly with that K-12 charter school, and me and my wife have been discussing this for a while, hoping that somebody would come to the area with one of those. So I know you touched on it a little bit, but what actually, I mean, just real briefly, what's involved with that? Because I'm very interested in maybe.
Well, Andrew knows how to get hold of me, and the starter process is a K through 12 group that we have. And again, it's just, I hesitate to even call it that simply because we were all somewhat gun shy, I guess, with regards to any kind of bureaucracy. But the K through 12 initiative is an office of maybe 20 people that are in charge of answering initial questions. So what they've done, they've gotten smart about it, they've started to put out videos and conference calls that answer all of the standard questions they've had over the last 15 years for somebody saying, what about? So if you're interested in that, then probably the best thing to do is two things. Go to Hillsdale's website, hillsdale.edu, and there is a button there for K through 12. There's an entire dedicated website for K through 12. There is also a K through 12 at home study website for those who have people that are doing homeschooling and things of that sort. Once you've done a little bit of the work on the website, a little bit of looking at that, if you want, I'll find it, either send it to Andrew, or you can ask through Andrew, ask me, whatever the case may be. They do a monthly conference call, third day, third week, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast time. A conference call, typically an hour to 90 minutes, where anybody that's had your kind of question saying, I'm in such and such, I'm in Allentown, Pennsylvania, or I'm in Mesa, Arizona, or wherever it might be. I want to put the flag in the ground, but I don't know where to begin. And they'll answer those kinds of questions. I think that's the thing to do. And it does come from concerned citizens. It does tend to propagate. My daughter's been teaching at the charter school in Atlanta, which is one of the first ones since she graduated, so 11 years now. And the guy that started that one has since created 2 others. He got shut down by Atlanta proper in terms of the laws. So he went north into the next county up. I think it's Gwinnett County, I'm not sure. And he's got a second one there, and he started a third one this year, which is again, working west of Atlanta proper. Each of those had to deal with different laws, different jurisdictions as a result of doing it. But once somebody gets into the system like that, they tend to grow. My daughter's second headmaster there said, yeah, I'm done. This guy retired as an 06 from the Air Force, left seat in 74 called Air Force One. That's his last job. And then he said, I'm going to go out to Boise, Idaho. We've got Albertsons grocery stores to give $1 million starter grant to him. He got one up off the ground an hour west of Boise in a fairly remote area, fairly economically deprived area. And he's now in the process of opening up his third one also. So these things do, once somebody figures out the model for making it happen, they do tend to grow that way.
Just so you know, here in our local area, there are many charter schools. And some of the local school systems, they say the problem with their budget is the charter schools.
Well, yeah, they don't want school trucks. The Hillsdale Charter School is unique on the perspective of using Hillsdale commercial. Before, while we're waiting for another question, maybe on the screen, something else Hillsdale's doing. You see Dr. Arnett talking Pete next up, and the website whitehouse.gov, America 250. There are several videos up now. Some of them are Hillsdale professors, Dr. Arnett, but also Second F next up, and I think some others along the way, celebrating America's 250. There's a question over here.
Yeah, I live in Lower Suffolk Township, and unless I'm wrong, we still don't have library access because of the relationship between Hills. We do?
We do not.
Yeah. So until they sort that out, I have no library. Could I, if I give money to Hillsdale, could I be authorized to use the lending privileges for interlibrary loans and things like that?
That's some question. You're going to have to send. If you can find a way to send that note to Andrew, get it to me, I'll do what I can to get you an answer. But I don't know that.
Question. You're right. I'm going to up here to your right for another question.
Hi, I'm David, and I can't thank Larry Orr enough for everything he says on radio and TV. Every time I get a chance to listen, he is there. He's a beacon of honesty, truth, on down the line. So I get the magazine. It's really great. It's just fantastic what you people have done. You've grown it. You can listen to it. You know it's honest. Whether it's online courses or whatever, don't ever stop. It's super.
Well, it is Larry Arnn. He's a leader.
Yes.
He's truly a leader, and he's one of these self-effacing, not stereotypical leaders. As you can see, fairly diminutive compared to the next stuff. At the same time, he understands what he's doing, and he's out there. He will regularly say at big events, at any events, we're out to change the country and to change the world. So he's actively involved in some of the behind-the-scenes decisions as to what's going on with the Secretary of Education. And this concept here had to go through the process of, well, Hillsdale doesn't take any federal money. How can we get videos on there? So it's a Hillsdale graduate, pretty involved in the surname, who's actually on staff with Mr. Trump somewhere, I don't know where. And decided they were going to do it. And simply, quite frankly, it's Hillsdale spending Hillsdale's money at this, the SAGAC Media Center on campus in Hillsdale, Michigan, to be able to get these videos produced and to get an appreciation for who we are as a nation and an appreciation for what this 250th coming up is. You may recall in Trump's first term, he had the 250th commission, and it was canceled on the first day of Biden. And Dr. Arnn and Matt Spalding, who runs the Kirby Center, and Mark Levin's wife, Julie Strauss, and several others, Carol Swain, who is a professor who's now retired, were proponents of that. They published a book on it, they had some meetings and things of that sort. Mr. Biden canceled it immediately. So this is an attempt to go out there and celebrate who we are as a nation. And I encourage you to use these videos to educate friends, neighbors, enemies, whoever.
Exactly, that's why I mentioned it. Columbia, Harvard, these kinds of schools, $56 billion worth of, money, and yet here we are with students that we're paying their loans.
I live back here in Yale. I live 10 miles north of Yale. My father-in-law was a Yale grad. He said, I'm not going to Yale anymore. He done it at Hillsdale. But they've lost their way. They've taken anything about faith or freedom off their charter, the public charter. Whereas Hillsdale's charter talks about all will be accepted regardless of race, gender, or creed. And that's the way it is today. It has been for 180 years now at this stage, where anybody that wants to show up and has the ability and aptitude is going to be accepted on a competitive basis and be able to go through and earn a degree and come away feeling like they're a citizen, full citizen, understanding of the world and the country.
God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Could you share real quick? You said you were going to send us I'll wait here, Andrew. You said you were going to share with us a rating clip. Could you let them know what you were talking about earlier? The rating clip? You said you were going to send me a clip about Ronald Reagan.
Oh, got it. On page 57 of this book of In Primis, the 50th anniversary in Primis. In Primis, by the way, those that don't know, it was the hour when Hillsdale said in 1972, that's it, we're done. Actually, they lost a court case, so their hand was forced. We're not going to take federal money anymore. So they started sending out this publication in Primis. When my father-in-law handed it to me in 1987, it had been in publication for 15 years, and it might have been a few hundred thousand at that stage. It's now about 7 million people that they're doing. On page 57, in this book that hopefully, and there are 2 copies left, please take everything off the table. Ronald Reagan spoke there in 1977. It's published in January 1978. And there is an audio clip that quite frankly, a friend and donor sent to me. She found it because the CD I gave her didn't work. She said, I'll fix that for you. And I'm going to send you an audio link to that. This is an abridged version of that speech, and I'll tell you what, every time I listen to Reagan speaking in 1977, everything he says is as true today as it was then. And it brings tears to my eyes just to listen to him. He talks about refugees from Cuba who were thankful that they had a place to come, and the response was, well, good news for you, we had a place to go, what happens if we lose America?
Thank you again for coming here tonight. I want to know, when does Hillsdale College feel about the convention this week?
Larry Arnn has been asked that question a lot. I'm aware that some years ago he had a debate with, I can't think of the gentleman's name at the moment, and Arnn was against it at that time. I think he might actually have rethought it. We did have to ask him that directly because that is a question for Larry Arnn. Me personally, I'm a member of Connecticut. I haven't done a lot because Connecticut is as close to a communist state as you could possibly get. And I have other things to spend my time on than to go up there and try to find communist legislators. By the way, my actual state legislator, my state senator, when Blumenthal got his backside spanked about 5 years ago for being involved with the Connecticut Communist Party, then my state legislator, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, also got a certificate of thanks from the Communist Party of Connecticut. I challenged her one-on-one twice at 2 different county meetings, 2 of the 3 times, and asked her if she would renounce communism. And I said, look, 100 million people have died under 1.5 billion still under, will you renounce it? This woman is so new and so stupid. Did I say that? she looked across the room at her age, the age of one of these things, and she said, no, I won't. So I went on talk radio that day, the local talk radio, and talked about it. And I got letters published in the local newspaper about it, because as the president of the state, American Federation of Teachers of the state of Connecticut, she had taken almost $7 million of dues. She gave $900,000 to Randy Weinberg here.
Oh.
I can't say that. I'm trying to find somebody to run against this woman.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. Again, don't forget to take all the meetings literature and share with your family and opportunities.
You are America. You are exactly how this country has come to be where it is. Please take this literature because it got shipped here and I don't want to ship it back. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you, Bob. All right, folks, if you could stay still for just 5 more minutes, we'll be greatly appreciated. Our final announcements, upcoming meetings, okay? The big, beautiful match this Saturday, rain or shine. There is a pavilion, okay? It's right there in Hellertown. Please try to attend. Next time, first time pages. Their meeting is September 18th. And they have our dear friend Bill Bachmer, who tentatively will be on Gunter's show tomorrow, okay? We're talking about health. I am a Red Cross instructor in lifeguarding, first aid, CPR, and AED. I have been blessed that 400 students have saved lives. I won't give you details, but one of our members that did die in this organization has quite told me about what happened to him. He didn't recognize the warning signs. If he would have recognized the warning signs, he might still be with us today. So, I teach at a place called Bethlehem Township. Folks, if you could just be quiet for a second. Bethlehem Township Center, I also teach at the YMCA. If you're interested in taking any of those courses, please see me. I'll give you more details. I mentioned about the U.S. Law Shield. If you are a member or not a member, you can attend the event. The flyers on the table. There's some flyers behind me. It's free of charge. The dinner is free of charge. You'll be better informed about using deadly force. At the same time, you will definitely want to become a member of U.S. Law Shield. Next month's meeting is Tuesday, October 2nd, right here at Fearless Fire Company. Wanted you to get that money ready for our 50-50 raffle. Oh, she has it. Okay.
Okay, so 50-50 raffle. The winning ticket was picked by Dr. Wheeler, who just left. Okay, check your tickets. 0, 1, 0, 9, 1, 2, 2.
Nope.
0, 1, 0, 9, 1, 2, 2. All right, see. Great. $220 to the winner.
Nice. That's a nice change.
Folks, again, we still have the buckets on the table. If you will be so kind to consider dropping some additional change and/or cash into the bucket for our second go-round in those buckets. Before we leave, we'll say a closing prayer. Also, please, if there's any cakes in your nose, consider purchasing them. See Evan and Jackie for some of our raffle tickets in the back. If we could have a minute of silence. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our great speakers this evening, Dr. Sean Wheeler and Mr. Bob Ham from Hillsdale College, for their commitment to our country and more importantly our God, and to each and every citizen that is in this room. Let us remember, as Reagan said that freedom is just a generational right. Help us to inform people, bring people to this meeting, and to get people to vote, and to not take freedom for granted. We thank you for being here this evening, folks, and we hope you have a safe trip home. We also ask prayers for all of those loved ones that are ill, as many of us have shared that with me, so we pray for all of them, ill family and friends and neighbors. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.